Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. The ocean had always breathed. Waves rose, waves fell, and the world moved to the rhythm of its endless pulse. But on the night the moon shone brightest, the sea exhaled once, and did not inhale again. Fishermen along the coast were the first to notice. Their lanterns hung from unmoving ropes. Their boats rested on perfectly still water, as if frozen beneath moonlight. No tide, no ripple, not even a whisper of wind brushing the open sea. Just stillness, a silence too heavy for any ocean to carry. And far out beyond the cliffs, a young girl named Mira stepped barefoot onto the cold sand, clutching the small conch shell her grandmother had given her. A shell that was warm, still warm, even though the ocean slept. Mira stood at the edge of a shore that no longer moved. Her breath caught. The world felt wrong. As a child, she had learned the ocean's moods, its laughter, its anger, its sadness. The sea was alive. Everyone in her village knew that. But tonight, it felt like standing beside a giant that had forgotten to breathe. She crouched and touched the surface. It was smooth as glass. Her reflection stared back with wide eyes. But behind her reflection, beneath the water's surface, she saw something impossible. A faint, slow blinking light, as if something deep below was trying and failing to wake up. Mira whispered, "Are you sleeping?" The ocean gave no answer. The conch shell in her hand pulsed once, a soft glow rippling from its spiraled center. Mira lifted it to her ear. She expected silence, but instead, a long, tired sigh drifted through the shell, a sigh older than storms, older than tides. Her heart raced. Grandmother said this shell hears the ocean's dreams. But this, she swallowed. This feels like a nightmare. The shell pulsed again. And a voice, quiet, hoarse, fading, whispered from within, "Help us." Mira nearly dropped it. "Help you? How?" The shell dimmed. No answer came. But the ocean's surface, just for a moment, shimmered with a faint ripple, a single pulse, then still again, as if the sea had tried to respond, and slipped back into sleep. Mira tightened her grip. "I'm coming," she whispered. The villagers gathered on the cliffs behind her. "Mira! Mira! Come back! It isn't safe." Even the elders trembled as they watched the frozen water. Legend spoke of only one thing that could stop the tides. The ocean spirit had closed its eyes. Mira turned to the crowd. "Someone has to wake it." Her uncle stepped forward. "You're 16. You're not waking anything except trouble." Another elder whispered to him, "If the ocean spirit sleeps too long, the islands will dry, the rivers will die, everything we know will end." Mira looked back at the unmoving sea. "I heard it," she said quietly. "In the shell. It asked for help." Some gasped. Some crossed their arms in disbelief. But all of them looked at the sea, with a fear they could not hide. Her uncle grabbed her arm. "Mira, You can't just walk into the ocean. She lifted the glowing shell. I'm not walking into the ocean, she said softly. I'm following its dream. The light in the shell grew brighter. Mira stepped forward. The crowd froze as the water parted around her feet, not by force, but by recognition, as if the ocean knew her. Mira took one step, then another. The sea did not move, but it made way. The water stayed perfectly still, like a solid stone pathway. As she walked farther from the shore, the villagers watched with silent breaths. Some wept, some prayed. Mira didn't look back. The deeper she walked, the colder the air became. The moon glowed in the same position in the sky, as if afraid to rise higher. And ahead of her, a soft blue light pulsed beneath the water's surface, calling her deeper. Her skin prickled. That's you, isn't it? She whispered to the ocean. The true ocean, the heart beneath the tides. She clutched the shell. This whisper was so faint now. She almost missed it. Hurry! Her chest tightened. She walked until her feet no longer touched sand, until the water rose to her chest, then to her shoulders, and with one breath, she sank beneath the surface. But she did not drown. The water around her felt like warm silk, holding her, guiding her. The world below was still. Fish floated unmoving. Seaweed hung like ribbons frozen in time. The great coral towers stood silent, their colors dimming without the tide's breath. Mira whispered underwater, though she didn't know how she could. Her voice vibrated through the stillness. I'm here. The ocean pulsed, a deep, slow heartbeat, but weak, very weak. Mira swam downward toward the blue light. Her hair drifted behind her in slow waves, the only movement in a dead sea. She passed an enormous whale, its eye half open, caught between waking and dreaming. She touched its fin gently. I'll wake you, she whispered. She continued downward, deeper and deeper, until the blue glow became a vast spiraling gate, made of drifting light, a doorway into the ocean spirit's dream. The conch shell blazed in her hand. Mira inhaled and stepped into the dream. Inside the dream, gravity disappeared. Sound vanished. Light dimmed to soft turquoise. Mira floated in an endless world of drifting memory. She saw shapes in the water, echoes of waves, shadows of storms, reflections of forgotten ships. And at the center of it all, a giant figure made of flowing water lay curled like a child, hair like rivers, skin like moonlit waves, a chest that rose and fell, once every minute, but slowing, slowing, slowing. The ocean spirit slept, and with every fading breath, the real ocean above drifted closer to death. Mira swam toward the massive figure. Spirit of the tides, she whispered. Please wake up. The spirit did not stir. Mira pressed the conch shell to the spirit's chest. The shell glowed, and a voice, this time stronger, echoed through the dream. Find the Dream Eater. Mira froze. Dream Eater. What is that? She whispered. The spirit's breathing grew weaker. The shell pulsed urgently. It holds my name. The spirit was not just asleep. It had been robbed. Someone or something had stolen its name, its identity, its tide-born voice. And until the spirit's name was returned, the sea would never wake. Mira looked into the vast sleeping face of the ocean spirit. "I'll find it," she whispered. "I swear." The dream trembled violently. A shadow moved across the water, something huge and hungry and older than tide or moon. The Dream Eater had sensed her. Mira held the glowing shell to her heart. "I'm coming for you," she said through shaking breath, "and I will wake the ocean." The water around her cracked, and the dream shattered into darkness. Mira fell fully into the ocean spirit's dream, an endless underwater realm made of memories, frozen tides, and unspoken prayers. The spirit slept far below, its pulse fading. To save the ocean, Mira had to find the one who had stolen its name, the Dream Eater. Mira swam through thick, warm dream water, surrounded by ribbons of drifting light, currents of memory. When one brushed her skin, she felt flashes of long-ago storms, sailors, and tides. Whispers flowed through the currents. North tide lost. Moonwalkers drowned. Storm heart broken. Name stolen. She followed the last whisper. Mira entered a vast chamber where waves were frozen mid-crest, each one holding an image inside. Whales, storms, lanterns, coral, children by the shore. Moments preserved at the instant the ocean fell asleep. She touched a frozen wave with a lantern. A voice whispered, "Wake me." It wasn't the spirit's voice, but a smaller, younger one. Someone else was dreaming inside the ocean. Then the water trembled. A shadow slid into view. Long, dark, serpent-like, with rings of emptiness along its body. It drifted to a frozen storm wave, opened a thin, dark mouth, and drank the memory away. The wave went blank. The shell in Myra's hand pulsed. Dream Eater. Mira realized it was devouring the ocean's past and moving toward the sleeping spirit. She whispered, "I have to stop it." The Dream Eater heard her, turned and pulled. A powerful suction dragged Mira toward its jaws. Desperate, she pressed the glowing conch shell to her chest. "Wake something inside me." The shell burst with blue light. Mira felt the distant heartbeat of the ocean spirit awaken in her own chest, the faint pulse of a tide. She pushed her hands forward. A wave of inner tide surged out of her, slamming into the Dream Eater and knocking it back. Her first strike. The creature recoiled into the dark, wounded but not defeated. The lantern wave she'd touched before glowed brighter. Inside its flame, a small child's silhouette appeared. The spirit gave me part of its name, so the darkness wouldn't take all, the child whispered. Mira understood. The spirit had hidden part of its true name inside this dreaming child to keep it from the Dream Eater. "You're keeping the spirit alive," she said. "I'll protect you. I'll bring its name back." The lantern flickered in fragile hope. But the dream trembled again. The Dream Eater was returning, stronger, and something larger moved in the darkness beyond it. The child whispered, "Hurry, tides, almost gone." Mira turned toward the deeper abyss and swam, the dream of the sleeping ocean when the tides forgot to move. Mira swam down into deeper dream water, where even memories were afraid to go. Above her, the hall of sleeping waves faded into dim turquoise haze. The last glow of the lantern child's wave shimmered like a distant star, growing smaller and smaller as she descended. The conch shell at her chest pulsed in slow, steady beats, syncing with the faint, weakening rhythm of the ocean spirit far below. "Don't fade," she whispered into the dark. "Not yet. I'm still here." The dream ocean didn't answer with words, but the water around her tightened, then loosened, like a great, exhausted lung trying to remember how to breathe. She took that as a promise, and swam deeper. The light dimmed until only the shell's glow remained. Here the water felt different, thicker, heavier. It clung to her arms and legs like wet cloth, trying to pull her back up. "This is where you tried to stop it, isn't it?" she murmured to the darkness. "Where you tried to stop the Dream Eater." A faint tremor passed through the water. Not a voice, but agreement. She continued until the dream ocean fell away into a vast trench, an endless canyon slicing through the spirit's subconscious. It was filled not with coral, not with stone, but with words, letters, fragments, syllables. They floated slowly upward like pale jellyfish, glowing faintly. Ka, Li, Mar, Sol, Thal. Names. Names of storms, of lost tides, of forgotten sea gods and small spirits that once danced along the foam. Broken pieces of them drifted here, unfinished and ownerless. Myra's breath caught. "This is where it keeps the names," she whispered. "The ones it has already eaten." She reached out to touch one, Soul, and a sudden warmth spread through her hand. She reached out to touch one, Soul, and a sudden warmth spread through her hand. She saw a brief vision. A sunlit wave curling over bright sand, a laughing boy running along the shore, a gull calling overhead. Then it faded. Mira let go, fingers trembling. "If I stay here, I'll drown in stories," she murmured. The shell at her chest pulsed sharply. "Focus," it whispered just once. She nodded. "I'm looking for one name, just one." She closed her eyes and listened, not with her ears, with the tide sense growing quietly inside her. At first, there was only the soft whisper of drifting names. Maris, Elo, Tyron, Luma, Kale. But then she felt it. A different current, a deeper one, something older, something that pulled at her bones like the tug of a real tide. She followed it down into the trench. The names around her grew dimmer as she descended, less like language and more like sighs, half-remembered prayers, and echoes of forgotten lullabies. Then she saw it. A single shard of light at the trench's deepest edge. Unlike the other names, this one didn't drift. It was pinned in place by black strands of shadow, thin tendrils wrapped around it like chains. Mira swam closer. The shard shimmered with a soft blue radiance that felt painfully familiar. Salt on her tongue, wind in her hair, the sound of waves against the cliff outside her village. She reached out. The shell flared hot against her chest. "That's you, isn't it?" she whispered. "A piece of your true name." The shard vibrated, as if answering. One of the shadow strands tensed and snapped at her fingers. Mira jerked back. The black tendrils recoiled, then tightened with renewed fury around the glowing shard. A hiss rippled through the water, silent but sharp, making her bones ache. The Dream Eater had felt her. Mira swallowed. "Just one piece," she whispered. "I only need one piece." She reached out again, slower this time, letting the tide sense guide her. She didn't fight the water. She moved with it, breathed with it. The shadows snapped at her again, but she slipped between them, fingers brushing the shard. A single sound burst into her mind. A syllable, clear and bright and ringing like a bell beneath the waves. "A-E." Mira gasped. The shard flared. One of the shadow chains shattered entirely. The syllable etched itself into her chest, warm and electric. The first part of the ocean spirit's true name. "A-E," she whispered. The dream ocean shivered. For a heartbeat, she felt the spirit stir far below, just slightly. A breath that almost became a wave. Then the trench roared. Not with water, with absence. The Dream Eater had heard her. The darkness around her thickened. The drifting names scattered like frightened fish. Mira turned slowly. Out of the trench's far wall, the Dream Eater emerged. No longer a distant shadow, but a vast serpent of unraveling dark. Its body coiled with stolen syllables that flickered faintly under its skin. The rings of emptiness around its form had multiplied. Mira understood now they were not decorations. They were absences, places where names should have been. "A-E?" The creature mouthed soundlessly, tasting the syllable it had failed to keep. His head tilted. It saw her. The trench's water lurched forward, dragging her closer. "No!" She thrust her hands out, calling to the tide sense inside her. Blue ripples flared along her fingertips, but they faltered under the Dream Eater's pull. The creature opened its mouth. Darkness poured toward her like a riptide made from endings. Myra's mind screamed, but the conch shell pulsed once, sharply, like a slap. "Asterisk breathe, asterisk," it told her. She inhaled. Dream water filled her lungs. Not choking, not killing, but connecting. Her heartbeat synced with the fading pulse of the ocean spirit below. She was not just in the spirit's dream. She was part of it, and dreams could change. She thrust both hands downward and imagined a rising tide pushing against the deep. Water obeyed. A vertical wave surged upward from the trench's floor, slamming into the Dream Eater's chin and knocking its head back. Mira was flung sideways instead of straight into its jaws. She slammed into a cluster of floating names. They scattered around her in a bright spiral. The creature recovered quickly. It coiled, then darted toward her like a spear of shadow. Mira grabbed the nearest syllables she could reach, pressing them to her chest. They flashed briefly. Soul. Thal. Lumi. Each one gave her a quick burst of borrowed memory, of storms and currents and moonlit tides. She spun, extending her arms. The dream water responded in a torrent, forming a twisting current that slammed sideways into the Dream Eater's body, pushing it off course. For a moment, only a moment, the serpent roared, silence so violent that Mira felt it in her teeth. It lashed its tail. The resulting shockwave shattered dozens of names around them into dust. Mira winced. "This isn't working," she whispered. "You've been feeding here for too long." The serpent circled her slowly, no longer rushing, as if it understood she was not prey, but threat. Its head lowered. It opened its mouth. A void yawned inside. Mira felt the tide sense inside her begin to slip. Her stolen syllable, "A-E," flickered. The creature's silent voice brushed her thoughts. Cold and ancient. "Little dream, you are not part of this ocean. Yield." Her eyes narrowed. "I live on its shores. I learned its songs. I carry its last heartbeat." She pressed a hand to her chest. "I am part of it now." The serpent lunged, and a lantern appeared. Light streaked past Mira as the lantern from before. Small, golden, impossibly bright in the trench's depth, burst between her and the Dream Eater. The child's silhouette inside blazed with white-blue flame. The Dream Eater recoiled, hissing without sound. The lantern turned to face Mira, hovering inches from her hands. "You took a piece?" the child's voice said, clear and strong now. "That was good. But one syllable isn't enough." Mira panted, clutching her chest. "A-E," she said, feeling the sound resonate through her ribs. "It's part of the spirit's name?" The child nodded. Asterisk the first. Asterisk, but the Dream Eater still holds the rest. They glanced toward the serpent. Shadow ripples coiled around its body as it recovered. Furious. Mira swallowed. "How are you still here?" "The spirit split its name," the child said quickly. "Some into me, some hidden in the currents, some trapped in the chains on its body. And if I put them back together, then the spirit will remember itself," the child replied. "And the tides will move again." The Dream Eater surged forward. The lantern flared. "You must go," the child said. "Deeper, to the heart current." "Where is that?" Mira asked. The lantern's flame trembled. "Inside its coils." Mira stared at the serpent again. She was going to have to go into the Dream Eater. The thought made her stomach twist, but the tide sense inside her pulsed with strange agreement. As if this was always the way. The trench rumbled. The Dream Eater struck at the lantern, shadow jaws snapping shut. The child's flame flared one last time. "I'll hold it for as long as I can," the child whispered. "Go, Mira. Find the rest of the name." The lantern burst into blinding light, colliding full force with the serpent's head. The Dream Eater reeled back, flailing, coils twisting through the trench's walls and stirring the graveyard of names into a storm. Mira didn't hesitate. She turned and swam straight toward the darkness beneath its body. As she swam, shards of names swirled around her like broken constellations. The trench warped, shifting under the serpent's thrashing. The tide sense guided her through the chaos. "Ae," she whispered as she swam. "I won't let that be all you remember. I'll bring the rest back. I promise." The water grew colder. The Dream Eater's coils thickened above her, blocking what little light remained. She slipped through a narrow gap between two loops of its body. Darkness closed around her. The conch shell's glow dimmed. For the first time since entering the spirit's dream, she felt true fear. Not for her own life, but for the possibility of failure. "What if I'm too late?" she whispered. The tide sense pulsed softly in answer. "Not yet, not yet." She pressed forward. And then, suddenly, she emerged into a vast hollow space enclosed by the serpent's coiled body. At its center swirled a whirlpool made not of water, but of light and broken syllables, pulled slowly, steadily toward a dark core. The heart current, the place where the Dream Eater digested what it stole. Myra's skin prickled. "Spirit of the tides," she said softly. "If any part of you can still hear me." The core pulsed once, like an angry pupil tightening. "Lend me your waves." She dove straight into the whirlpool of names. Light and language, storms and currents, cries and prayers. All of it spun around her, pulling at her mind, trying to drag her into 1,000 different lives. For a terrifying moment, she wasn't sure who she was. Mira, wave, tide, shell, child, spirit. Her thoughts scattered like foam on rock. The dark core drew closer. The conch shell blazed like a small star. "Remember," it whispered, not to her, but with her. Mira clenched her fists. "I am Mira," she said through gritted teeth, "and I am carrying your name back to you." She reached for the spinning syllables and felt several lock into place inside her heartbeat. "Ae-re." The sound burst through the heart current like thunder underwater. The Dream Eater recoiled. The whirlpool shuddered. Pieces of the spirit's true name were waking. Mira felt herself hurled outward, flung from the heart current by the shock wave of her own words. She crashed against the inside of the serpent's coils. The dream ocean convulsed around her. The trench split with a deafening absence of sound. Above it all, the ocean spirit moved just barely. And far, far away, in the world of still tides and breathless shores, a single tiny wave kissed the sand. The dream ocean shook as Mira was thrown from the heart current. Light and shadow spiraled around her while syllables and half-formed waves scattered like startled fish. She slammed against the inside wall of the Dream Eater's coiled body, the darkness beneath its surface trembling with hunger. Inside her chest, the stolen syllables trembled. "Ae-re," the ocean spirit's name, or parts of it. She pressed a trembling hand over her heart. "You're still alive," she whispered. "I felt you. I heard you." A faint pulse answered her from the deep, weak, fading, but present. The Dream Eater moved around her. Its massive coils tightened and relaxed with ancient hunger, each pulse pulling the dream ocean toward collapse. Mira glanced upward, spotting a thin fissure where faint blue light bled through. "A way out," she whispered, swimming toward it. Shadows struck instantly. Dark tendrils wrapped her arms and legs, dragging her back. She fought to break free, blasting currents of dream water from her palms. But the Dream Eater reacted faster. The fissure snapped closed, sealing the light away. "Oh, come on," Mira hissed. "You really want to keep me here?" Yes, it did. Its coils rolled, pulling her toward the hollow maw deeper within its body. Mira pushed back with everything she had, tide sense flaring against the suction. The shell at her chest pulsed sharply. "Not deeper," it whispered. "Not into its heart." "I know," she snapped as another wave of force slammed her sideways. She crashed into floating syllables that burst like bubbles, each releasing flashes of stolen memories. Storms, prayers, children laughing on shorelines. Her vision swirled. Then, a voice emerged from the water itself, woven into the currents. Asterisk, the gate is above. Asterisk. She spun. A hairline shimmer of blue glowed between coils. A weak dream gate. A natural fault. A way out. She swam up, tendrils cracking through the dark, striking at her. Just as they closed in, a small flame streaked toward her. The lantern shot into view like a falling star, smashing through the tendrils and clearing a path. "Mira!" The child's voice echoed from inside the flame. "Move! Hurry!" She surged upward. The Dream Eater lunged from below, jaws splitting into a silent black void. The lantern rammed into its head, knocking it sideways. The serpent reeled. The lantern dimmed. "You're hurt," Mira whispered. "Doesn't matter," the child rasped. "Just Geo." Mira reached the fissure and pushed, but nothing happened. She shoved harder, tide sense pulsing. Still nothing. "Open!" she cried. "Open!" The Dream Eater recovered, wings of shadow unfurling. The lantern child shouted, "Use the name!" Mira froze. Then she pressed her hand over her heart. The incomplete name glowed. Ae-Re. Light exploded around her. The fissure burst open. The Dream Eater recoiled as if struck by lightning. Mira flew upward out of the coils into open dream water. She was free. Her body drifted in softer water now, a luminous realm glowing like moonlit tide. Below her, the Dream Eater twisted furiously. Its body rippled with rage, hunger, and newly awakened awareness. The lantern hovered beside her, its flame trembling. "You escaped," the child whispered, "but it won't rest." Mira closed her eyes and steadied her breathing. Inside her chest, the syllables stirred. E-Re-H, the third piece. "It gave it to me," Mira whispered in awe. "When I fought through the heart current, I didn't just escape. I took another part of its name." The lantern child's flame flickered. "You're carrying the spirit's memory now." A small, gentle tremor rippled through the dream ocean, different from the Dream Eater's violence. Warm, familiar, the spirit. Mira gasped. A ripple touched the shore, not in the dream, but in the real world. "A wave!" she whispered. A real one. Yes, the child said. The spirit is trying. But you must finish the name. Mira nodded. Then take me to the spirit's dream chamber. The ocean trembled violently. A shockwave split the water. The Dream Eater's long body began to expand, shadow unraveling into ribbons and wings. Rings of absence glowed along its length, like gills breathing nothingness. Its head stretched, forming a long, jagged maw. It was shedding its old shape, becoming something faster, something built to hunt. The lantern child grabbed Myra's arm. It took a new form. It's adapting to you. The serpent's new wings spread wide, slicing the dream water. For the first time, Mira heard a sound from it. A low, vibrating hum like a tide groaning backward through stone. It hurt her bones. Go, the child whispered. Now. Mira didn't go. She felt something behind her, something deep, a heartbeat, the spirit's heartbeat, faint but growing. Inside her chest, the syllables aligned. A-E, Re, D. A fourth fragment. Her pulse quickened. I'm getting closer. She lifted her hands, summoning her tide sense. A current formed beneath her feet, lifting her upward like a rising wave. The lantern followed. The Dream Eater roared, tearing through frozen waves and devoured tides. Shards of dream shattered around them as Mira surged toward the upper light. The ocean spirit's dream chamber waited above. And behind her, closer, the Dream Eater followed, hungrier than ever, determined to devour the last fragments of a name that could wake the sea. The dream ocean trembled like a living thing as Mira rose toward the dim blue glow above, the Dream Eater's fury churning the depths behind her. Inside her chest, the syllables she had stolen from its coils pulsed softly. E-re, they, lo. Not complete, not yet, but no longer scattered fragments either. They moved together now like small waves in a growing tide, echoing in time with the ocean spirit's faint heartbeat somewhere above. The lantern child drifted at her side, its flame flickering harder with every tremor. You're getting close, the child whispered. I can feel the rest of the name pulling on you. Mira nodded, though her limbs ached and her mind swam with borrowed memories. When I reach the spirit, she said, can I just give the name back? The child's flame dimmed for a moment. Yes, they said, but not the way you think. Before she could ask what that meant, the water ahead opened into a vast, luminous expanse. The spirit's dream chamber. Mira floated into a space so wide it felt as if the entire ocean had gathered here to rest. The water was still as glass. Light fell in soft layers from above, like moonbeams caught in slow motion. At the center lay the ocean spirit, curled upon itself like a sleeping continent. Its vast body made of translucent blue, its hair flowing outward as rivers of dimmed light. The spirit's chest rose and fell in long, slow breaths, but each breath was shallower than the last. Shadow chains wrapped around its limbs and torso, thin threads of darkness that pulsed faintly with the Dream Eater's hunger. Myra's heart twisted. Spirit of the tides. Her voice trembled through the chamber. I brought back part of your name. The sleeping giant did not open its eyes, but its chest stuttered, one breath slightly deeper than before. The lantern child floated ahead of her, flame glowing warm with awe and sadness. This is where it happened, the child said quietly, where the dream eater tried to erase it. Mira looked at the chains. Dark rings glowed along their length, empty circles, just like the marks on the dream eater's body. Those are the bites it took, she whispered. The places it devoured your name. She could feel it now, the missing sounds, the stolen pieces, pressing in from the edges of the chamber. Her tight sense shivered. The rest of the name is here, she realized. In the chains, in the wounds. The lantern child nodded. And in me, they added softly. Mira turned. What are you? She asked gently. You said the spirit put part of its name in you. But who were you before that? The child's flame flickered, hesitant, then steady. I was the first dream it ever had, they said. The dream of a child on the shore. The dream of someone who would listen to the sea. Myra's breath caught. So you're a memory it gave shape, the child finished. A small part of itself that learned to carry light. When the dream eater came, the spirit hid a piece of its name inside me, and waited for someone who could hear both dreams and waves. They looked at her with a glow that felt like a sad smile. Waited for you. Mira swallowed. Her fingers tightened around the conch shell. For the first time, it felt less like an object and more like a bridge between her world and this one, between sleeping God and waking tide. Then let's finish it, she said. She swam closer to the spirit's chest. The shadow chains pulsed with hollow sound. Her tide sense answered, and the syllables inside her moved. Mira hovered above the spirit's heart. Beneath the translucent surface she could see currents, waves, continents of feeling all tangled together in sleep. The shadow chains dug deep into the spirit's form, turning some rivers murky, dimming coral-like patterns of light upon its skin. She reached toward the nearest chain, tensed at her touch. A sharp chill shot through her fingers, an echo of the dream eater's presence. But beneath the cold, she felt something warm, a syllable, a fragment of sound trying to remember itself. She closed her hand around the chain and breathed in time with the spirit's faint pulse. Let go, she whispered gently. You don't belong here. Her tide sense flared. The syllables inside her, A-E-R-I, T-H-A-L-O, glowed and resonated with the hidden fragment in the chain. For a heartbeat they formed a chord. A small piece of darkness cracked and fell away. A glimmer of light surged into her palm. A new sound, faint but clear, lodging itself beside the others in her chest. Nas? She gasped as it formed on her tongue. The chamber trembled softly, like a ripple across still water. The spirit's chest rose a little higher. Myra's eyes burned. It's working, she whispered. I can pull your name back from it. The lantern child floated near another chain. Here, they called softly. There's one hidden in this one too. Mira swam over and pressed her hand to the indicated segment. Again the cold. Again the resonance. Again, a fragment freed itself, small, bright, and aching with meaning. "Sae," she whispered, the sound settling into the string of syllables slowly weaving through her heartbeat. "E, re, the, lo, nis, sae." The name inside her lengthened, strengthened. The dream ocean responded. Waves of blue light rolled gently outward from the spirit's body. The chains rattled, some loosening by just a fraction. Mira moved from chain to chain, guided by the lantern child and her own tide sense. Each time she found a fragment, she freed it, letting it sink into the growing tide of sounds within her. Some fragments were sharp as storms. Some were soft as lullabies. Some carried the weight of moonlight on black water. With every syllable, the spirit's pulse strengthened. With every syllable, the Dream Eater's fury deepened below. Far above, beyond the dream, on the shore of Myra's village, the ocean moved. At first, no one noticed. The fishermen who had given up on the sea sat in their boats on unmoving water, staring at lines that would not sink. Children skipped stones that refused to ripple. Elders watched the horizon, eyes hollow with worry. Then, a single boat rocked. Just once. A fisherman frowned, glancing down. The surface beneath his vessel no longer shone like unbroken glass. It shivered ever so slightly, like a sleeper twitching in a dream. On the sand where Mira had walked into the ocean, a thin line of water reached up and then pulled back. Tiny tide. People gasped. "Did you see that? It moved. The water. Did it just breathe?" Hope, fragile and disbelieving, moved through the crowd. The oldest of the elders stepped forward, tears stinging his eyes. "She's reaching it," he whispered. "Wherever she is, she's reaching it." He lifted a weathered hand toward the unmoving horizon. "Wake up, great sea," he murmured. "Our Mira is calling you." Deep below, in the spirit's dream, Myra's fingers trembled as another fragment slid into place. The syllables hummed under her ribs. "E, re, the, lo, nis, sae, Mara." Each sound carried memory, weight, promise. The ocean spirit's breathing grew stronger. And that was when the Dream Eater found them. A violent tremor cracked through the chamber. Shadow seeped through the walls like spilled ink, pooling along the edges of the space. The soft blue light dimmed. Mira whirled around. The Dream Eater tore through the upper veil of the chamber like a storm ripping apart the surface of the sea. It was larger than before. The wings of shadow had multiplied, curving around its body like a cage of night. Its head had split into several overlapping jaws, each ringed with absence-lit circles where names had been scraped away. It circled the chamber once, its silent presence pressing against Myra's mind like a command to forget, to sink, to sleep. The lantern child's flame shrank, flickering toward a whisper. "It's here," they said weakly, "and it knows you took too much from it." The serpent's many jaws opened and closed in slow, deliberate rhythm. Where its gaze passed, frozen currents unraveled and drifted away as pale mist. Return what was eaten. The voice pressed into Myra's thoughts. Names are mine. Mira forced herself to meet the creature's formless gaze. They were never yours, she whispered. You stole them. You tried to erase the sea from itself. Hunger has no master, the Dream Eater replied. Its body coiled tighter around the chamber, dark rings glowing brighter. Slowly, it began to wrap itself around the sleeping spirit, shadow chains thickening under its weight. The spirit's breathing stuttered. Myra's panic cut through her. Stop! She's reaching it, he whispered. Wherever she is, she's reaching it. He lifted a weathered hand toward the unmoving horizon. Wake up, great sea, he murmured. Our Mira is calling you. Deep below, in the spirit's dream, Myra's fingers trembled as another fragment slid into place. The syllables hummed under her ribs. E, re, the, lo, nis, sae, Mara. Each sound carried memory, weight, promise. The ocean spirit's breathing grew stronger. And that was when the Dream Eater found them. A violent tremor cracked through the chamber. Shadow seeped through the walls like spilled ink, pooling along the edges of the space. The soft blue light dimmed. Mira whirled around. The Dream Eater tore through the upper veil of the chamber like a storm ripping apart the surface of the sea. It was larger than before. The wings of shadow had multiplied, curving around its body like a cage of night. Its head had split into several overlapping jaws, each ringed with absence-lit circles where names had been scraped away. It circled the chamber once, its silent presence pressing against Myra's mind like a command to forget, to sink, to sleep. The lantern child's flame shrank, flickering toward a whisper. It's here, they said weakly, and it knows you took too much from it. The serpent's many jaws opened and closed in slow, deliberate rhythm. Where its gaze passed, frozen currents unraveled and drifted away as pale mist. Return what was eaten. The voice pressed into Myra's thoughts. Names are mine. Mira forced herself to meet the creature's formless gaze. They were never yours, she whispered. You stole them. You tried to erase the sea from itself. Hunger has no master, the Dream Eater replied. Its body coiled tighter around the chamber, dark rings glowing brighter. Slowly, it began to wrap itself around the sleeping spirit, shadow chains thickening under its weight. The spirit's breathing stuttered. Myra's panic cut through her. Stop! Stop! She thrust her hands out, sending a powerful wave of tide force against the serpent's coils. The water surged, bright with blue light. The Dream Eater flinched, but did not move away. It merely shifted, focusing all of its attention on her. Then I will devour the vessel instead. Myra's veins turned to ice. The lantern child's small voice cut through the heavy water. Mira, it's after the name now. It wants all of it back. Every syllable you hold. Mira pressed a hand to her chest again. The name pulsed inside her, too big now to be just a word. Felt like a tide waiting to break. "What happens?" she whispered. "If it devours me while the name is still incomplete?" The child's flame shivered. "Then the sea will never remember itself." The Dream Eater's many jaws opened. The chamber darkened. The spirit struggled beneath its coils. A low, thunder-like vibration moving through the dream ocean. Mira took a slow breath. Her body shook. Her heart raced. But her tide sense held steady. "Lantern," she said quietly. "Is there any way to keep the name safe, even if it swallows me?" The child hesitated. "There is one way," they said softly. "But it's dangerous." Mira almost laughed. "More dangerous than this?" The child drifted closer. "If the spirit gives the rest of its name to you," they said, "you won't just be carrying it. You'll be bound to it. Your heart and its heart will be the same tide." Mira swallowed. "And if the Dream Eater devours me after that?" The child closed their eyes inside the lantern flame. "Then it will have to devour the spirit with you," they whispered, "or let you both go." Mira felt something deep and steady move beneath the fear, a calm, like the still space between waves. "Then we tie ourselves together," she said. "Completely." She floated down to the spirit's chest, placed both hands upon it, and closed her eyes. "Give me the rest of your name," she whispered, voice shaking but sure. "I'll carry it. I'll carry you all the way to the waking world if I have to." For a moment nothing happened. Then a warm surge of current rushed through her arms, flooding her veins. Syllables poured into her, a cascade of sound and salt and memory. E, re, the, lo, nis, sae, mara, dine. The completed name thundered through her like a storm breaking open. The spirit's heart and hers beat as one. She gasped, eyes flying open as her body glowed with blue-white radiance. The chains around the spirit cracked, some snapping entirely. The Dream Eater shrieked, the sound churning the entire chamber. Too bright, it lunged, all of its mouths, all of its hunger, straight at Mira. The lantern child screamed her name. "Mira!" She looked up, luminous and small and impossibly brave against the oncoming darkness. And then she spoke the ocean spirit's true name aloud. The sound did not finish. The Dream Eater's jaws closed around her. Light and shadow collided. The chamber shattered into a roaring, tidal void, and far above, in the waking world, a great wave rose from the sleeping sea, towering higher than any tide in living memory, holding itself motionless in the moonlight, waiting. The Dream Eater's jaws closed around Mira, and the world collapsed into darkness. Not gentle darkness, not the quiet kind found in deep sleep, but the consuming kind, the kind that erases, unravels, devours. For a moment Mira felt nothing at all. No water, no light, no body, just the silent weight of an ancient hunger pressing in on all sides. But then, a sound trembled beneath the void. A heartbeat, hers, and the ocean spirit's, bound together by the name she now carried. E, re, the, lo, nis, sa, mara, dine. The complete name of the sea. The syllables flared like drifting constellations across her skin. The Dream Eater stiffened, jaws trembling around her as if it had bitten into fire. Too full, too bright. Cannot devour. The whole tide. Mira exhaled softly. I'm not yours to swallow, she whispered. And this name, this sea, will never belong to hunger. She pressed both hands outward, and the ocean answered. Blue light erupted from her palms, pushing outward in a spiraling burst. The Dream Eater reeled, its jaws splitting apart as Mira fell free, suspended in a sphere of glowing current. Beneath her feet, the Dream Eater's vast body writhed in agony. Shadows twisting, rings of absence shattering like broken mirrors. Myra's tide sense surged, stronger than ever, stronger than hers alone. It was the spirit's tide too, flowing through her. She lifted her hands. The water obeyed. Currents spiraled around her in growing arcs, forming a luminous maelstrom. The lantern child drifted toward her. Mira, they whispered, you sound like the sea. Blue-white veins of light pulsed beneath Myra's skin, waves moving through her body as if she were made of tide and moonlight. I think, she whispered, I'm carrying more than just its name. The spirit stirred behind her. Rivers of glowing water rippled along its form, the shadow chains cracking apart. The slow breath deepened, then deepened again. The ocean's heartbeat returned, and with it, the entire dream ocean trembled like an animal waking. The Dream Eater roared. A real sound now. Dark wings snapped open, slicing the chamber as it tried to coil around the spirit again. Mira stepped between the Dream Eater and the waking god. You can't have it, she said. Hunger needs name. No, Mira said quietly. Hunger needs nothing. She drew a deep breath and spoke the spirit's name. Ae-re. The low nis sei maradine. Each syllable surged outward in a wave of radiant force. The chamber exploded with light, but still it lunged. Its jaws opened wide. Mira closed her eyes. Her tide sense bloomed, and the spirit rose. A massive hand of water and moonlit memory caught the Dream Eater mid-lunge. The serpent twisted violently but could not free itself. The spirit's voice rolled like thunder. Enough! Frozen currents shattered. Stolen syllables rang like freed bells. The Dream Eater convulsed, shadows dissolving. Do not remember. No, the spirit said. You do not. Tightened its grip. The serpent folded inward, until nothing remained but drifting shadow dust. Silence filled the chamber. Then the spirit turned to Mira. Child of the waking shore, you carried me when I could not breathe. Tears filled Myra's eyes. I only did what the sea has always done for us, she whispered. It carried me my whole life. The spirit extended a hand of shining tide. Return my name, it said. Mira exhaled the full name. E-re, the, lo, nis, sa, mara, dine. The name flowed back into the spirit like the tide rushing home. His body glowed bright as sunrise, and the sea awoke. On the shore of Myra's village, dawn painted the horizon. The sea, still for so long, shivered, then rose. A towering wave lifted into the sky, glowing with soft blue light, before rolling forward with breathtaking grace. It crashed upon the beach, not in destruction but in greeting. People cried out, "The sea has woken." In the heart of the wave they saw her, a girl with drifting hair, a glowing shell against her heart. Mira, carried by the spirit's rising name. 4. The last gift of the ocean. Deep in the dream ocean, Mira floated before the spirit. "Will I wake up?" she whispered. "Yes," the spirit said. "And you will return. Will you be there? In the waking world. I am always there. Every tide, every breath the sea takes." The spirit lifted her with dream water. The lantern child watched, glowing softly. "I'll stay here," they whispered. "Someone must guard the spirit's sleep." "You were its first dream," Mira said, "and you were the one who remembered its name." Myra's body dissolved into light. A great wave set her gently on the sand. "Mira!" She woke the sea. She opened her eyes. The tide breathed. The ocean glowed. "You remembered yourself," she whispered. A small wave kissed her hand. She smiled. That night, she walked the moonlit beach, holding the glowing shell. She felt the spirit deep below, awake, listening. "Thank you for remembering me too," she whispered. A soft tide washed over her feet, and the night whispered back, "Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth."